All right, we'll go ahead and get started. First off, I just want to say good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for taking your time out of your busy schedules to be a part of this year's first Tennessee Sustainable Spirits webinar entitled Sustainability and Community Engagement. I hope everyone is finally getting thawed from Middle and West Tennessee, getting thawed out from the recent ice and snowstorms. I know everything's finally starting to melt here in Murfreesboro, where I live, so hope everyone made it through without any type of issues or anything. This webinar is being put on by the Tennessee Sustainable Spirits Program in collaboration with the Tennessee Department of Environment and Conservation, East Nashville Beer Works, the Tennessee State Parks Conservancy, and Tennessee Brew Works. My name is Caleb Powell, and I'm an environmental scientist for the Office of Policy and Sustainable Practices at Tdek, and I will be hosting the webinar today for our wonderful speakers. So everyone is muted upon entry to reduce the amount of background noise, but if you have any questions, comments, or concerns, and we definitely would love interaction from the audience, feel free to ask those in the chat, and I'll work on getting those answered for you. You can also raise your hand with the little hand emoji on the right side of your screen. I can unmute the attendees' hands to allow for discussion if you'd rather ask your question rather than sending it in the chat box. And I'm actually sending a chat right now to everyone, so you should be receiving a chat. If you can't see it, over on the right side there should be a little chat box that you can click to be able to see that. And there's also, you can choose who you send it to. So if you just want to send it to just me, or if you wanted to send it to all participants, either way, I will make sure I don't think there's, unless you send it directly to just one person other than myself, and I won't see it and won't be able to ask the question. So make sure that the host or all participants is clicked for that. To give you an overview of what's going on and what's going to be covered today, like I said, this is the first of our 2 webinars this year for the Tennessee Sustainable Spirits Program, and we'll be discussing how spirit producers can address sustainability and community engagement. We know that's been sort of hard with COVID, and so we wanted to talk about, coming out of the pandemic, how moving forward you can address sustainability and community engagement. We'll be learning more about how spirit producers can engage with the community in a way that educates or encourages sustainability. The Tennessee State Parks Conservancy has partnered with Tennessee Brew Works to develop a beer made with 100% local ingredients, in which a portion of proceeds from the beer sales goes to the Conservancy. Kelly Tipler from the Tennessee State Parks Conservancy will be discussing ways producers can partner with nonprofit community organizations. East Nashville Beer Works is a brewery designed around the concept of community. Anthony Davis will be discussing how East Nashville Beer Works engages with the community and how others can do the same. So our presenters have a wealth of knowledge and experience that will help us better understand sustainability and community engagement in the spirit industry. So first, I would like to, I'm going to go right here, and then we're going to talk to Mark Valencia. He is my coworker and really the brain behind the Tennessee Sustainable Spirits Program. He's going to give us an overview of the program and then how you can be a part of it if you aren't. So I'll read a little bit about Mark, and then it's all yours. So he's an environmental scientist with the Office of Policy and Sustainable Practices. His prior experience includes surface / groundwater conservation and monitoring, indoor-outdoor air quality, waste reduction and recycling, and native plant conservation. He, like I said, is the man behind the Tennessee Sustainable Spirits Program, and he's a really great guy to know. So the floor is yours, Mark.
Thanks, Caleb. I appreciate it. I thank everybody for joining me today. Caleb, quick little note, Owen Roberts is trying to join, our intern, so I'm hoping he can get on here and listen, but he had a bad link, so if you or someone else that's listening in that is part of our team could send him a quick email, I'd appreciate it.
I'll take care of it. Appreciate it.
Okay, so welcome everybody to the first webinar for our webinar series for the Tennessee Sustainable Spirits Program. These webinars are designed to help producers, not only in the state of Tennessee, but throughout the country. We're just trying to promote sustainable practices for spirits producers and people within the industry. So thanks again for joining. And we can just jump in, give a quick little background on how the Tennessee State Sustainable Spirits Program came to be and where it's housed within the Department of Environment and Conservation. So Tdek is our organization that is here to protect and improving the quality of Tennessee's air, land, water through a responsible regulatory system, protecting and promoting human health and safety, conserving and promoting natural, cultural, and historic resources, and providing a variety of quality outdoor recreational experiences. The Tennessee Department of Environment is broken down into several different divisions. This is a very general graphic, but I like to use it to show how we're broke down on a basic level. So the Bureau of Environment is an organization that covers our regulatory side of the environment and regulations and enforcing laws. The Bureau of Parks and Conservation oversees our 56 state parks and our 85 natural areas. I am within the Office of Policy and Sustainable Practices, and you want to look on it at a basic level. We're kind of between the Bureau of Environment and the Bureau of Parks and Conservation. We work across the board throughout Tdek with almost every division on improving sustainability and sustainable practices throughout the state and within state government organizations. Oversee policy work in the Department of Environment. In addition to that, we do a lot of sustainability and promoting sustainable practices for businesses, public entities, private organizations, schools. We do it across the board. Any organization in the state, public or private, we work with them and see what will help. The Office of Policy and Sustainable Practices is broken down into two big groups. So there's the policy side. That is the stuff that normally anyone really sees. It's kind of the back of house work that we do within state government. And then the outward focusing side is sustainable practices, and that is broken down into three other organizations. So there's the business team, community team, state government institutions. The business team is where we work with mainly sector organizations within the state. The community side, so we work with a lot of nonprofits, public, private residences, schools. And then on the state government institution side, that's where we work with our colleagues in state government and higher education. Higher education are not private, so these are the public higher education organizations. So that's what we do with the state government side. Tennessee Sustainable Spirits is a voluntary program that assists wineries and wine growers, breweries, and distilleries in increasing sustainability by promoting best practices, providing technical assistance, and developing relationships. So this program was developed with a partnership with producers within the state, our colleagues over at EPA, and with Tdek. And we also worked with a lot of programs that are similar to us that are funded through the P2 program, the Pollution Prevention Program with EPA. So there's other organizations that are doing something similar to what we're doing in different states. So we worked very closely with all these different organizations to produce this program. But a key emphasis that I like to push is that this program is designed for the spirits producers in our state. So we want to make sure this program is something that they would like to be part of, and they have a voice within this program, because this program won't last if it's not accepted and it's not appreciated by the producers in our state. So benefits to the program, we have unique branding. If you look to the right, that is our Tennessee Sustainable Spirits logo. Once you become a member, you get to proudly display that. We'll give you digital versions of that, a window cling that you can display at your facility or display on your website, or any products that you would like to put that label on. This is a way to show your consumers that you are a sustainable spirits producers within the state. We will recognize all our members on our website. We have an interactive map that shows where each of our members are located and what kind of sustainable practices they are incorporating at their facility. We are working on doing articles for our members. There's several articles out there today, and we are always looking to make more articles on our members and getting the word out on what our members are doing. We provide free technical assistance. So we provide a lot of I'd like to say, we like to provide recommendations on how they can improve sustainable practices, and all these recommendations are strictly voluntary. I like to say that the Office of Policy and Sustainable Practices we are not in the business of telling people what to do. We are only in the business of helping you get to further expand sustainability in your facility or your organization. So we like to be able to provide that technical assistance to you. So if you ever have questions or you get some recommendations we make for y'all, we would love to help you out and see where we can get you to excel beyond where you are today. And with doing that, we can do that for free. We have a new member recognition event and a press release. So every year, we like to have an event where we promote all our new members, and we usually do a big press release. And most of the time, media outlets pick up on that and like to talk about what we're doing. Unfortunately, this past year, we weren't able to do that, but we're looking forward to doing it this next year. We did do a press release, and we got some pretty good publicity on it for our members. I know the Weather Channel picked up on our program, and we got to do an interview with them, and local area news outlets also picked up on members that are in their area. We also have a vast online resource list. So if you ever go to our website, I encourage you to check it out. We have resources for sustainable practices and sustainability for the spirits industry, and we are currently working on developing some additional resources for consumers to see what to give them ideas on how to look out for a sustainable producer. And we're working on developing resources for the hobbyist at-home spirits producer, so they can see how they can produce their product while being sustainable. Here's some of the promotional items. If you look at the bottom left, that is what we call a bottle hanger. It is something that you can hang on the neck of a whiskey bottle, wine bottle, a beer bottle, any type of bottle, and it's printed on recycled paper that's embedded with a seed, with a wildflower seed. So once you're done using this particular item, you can actually bury it under the soil and you can grow some wildflowers out of it. So we like to be able to produce something that's promotional, but at the same time doing its benefit for the environment. The item in the middle, that is a window cling that members get to display on their storefronts or in their windows, showing that they are a Tennessee Sustainable Spirit member. On the bottom right is something that I really love. These are coasters that are made out of recycled tire rubber. So it's 100% recycled tire rubber to make these coasters. So it's us trying to do our part on being sustainable while we produce materials. To become a member, you can become a member by fulfilling a range of sustainability requirements. There are 49 elements to our program, so it's a checklist. So you would have a checklist and just envision 49 different things that you can check off on the list. If you meet a minimum of 25 of those items, you are on your way to becoming a member. So it's broken down by category from water conservation, air and water pollution, waste reduction, and then community involvement. That's our focus for today in this webinar, is how we can focus on improving our relationships with our community and getting our community involved with what we're doing, and how we can promote sustainability throughout, full circle, you know, from the consumer, from the producer to the consumer. The application process is fairly simple. You submit an application, you submit utility data and production data, and a checklist. So these are the three things that we're looking for when you're applying to become a member. What we do with the utility data, we like to create a ratios from your energy use and your water use and compare it to your production data. So it may take you so many kilowatt hours to produce a gallon of wine or a gallon of beer. And then we can also show you, hey, it may take you for example, 5 gallons of water to produce 1 gallon of beer. We can create these ratios to get a good baseline on what's going on at your facility. And we will also compare it to national and international averages. So there's several organizations out there that have done this for producers throughout the world, and we can show you where you fall in line with that. And that's just a good way to show how efficient you are with your system. So once we get the information, we get the checklist, we will review all of this. We will review all the information you submitted, and we will also conduct a Tdek internal compliance check. This is something where we check within Tdek to see if there are any outstanding compliance issues on the regulatory side. And I want to again emphasize that we aren't in the business of telling anybody what to do, so we have zero say or control on any enforcement of environmental regulation. We like to help you, so if there was ever an issue where we couldn't make you a member because of a compliance issue, we are more than happy to help you get into contact with the people you need to, and we can do some of our part in getting you back into compliance to become a member. Once we get all that information, you pass that Tdek internal compliance check, we will schedule a on-site visit. This is where we will go to your facility, we'll sit down, we'll discuss the checklist that you produce, and we'll just go over those elements and discuss them. And then we'll conduct a walkthrough to verify some of those elements on the checklist, and we will also be looking out for potential areas of opportunity to improve on the sustainability side. We're not there to tell you anything about your product because we are not the experts. We understand that the producers are the experts, but we may be able to help you to produce your high quality product in a more efficient manner. Once we do that site visit, we'll come back and we'll review all the data, the checklist, some of the observations we made, and we'll produce you a thorough sustainability report. This report will cover everything on the checklist that we noticed, and we'll provide a detailed list of recommendations. These recommendations will also include examples of what other producers were able to do to improve upon those recommendations. And if you are ever interested in those recommendations, that technical assistance side that we were talking about earlier, that's when we can help you figure out how we can get you there. We may not be able to do everything, but we can help you weed through what's involved with whatever recommendations we've made. Once you get that report, we'll also send you a letter of acceptance, and you are then, from now on, a member of the program. Here's a just quick rundown of the program. You can of the checklist, so you can see how it's laid out. It's broken through category. I did want to note that you'll see some of these items that are in bold. If you cannot read it, please let us know because we can send you a copy of it. It's also on our website. I just wanted to show you what the layout looks like. So there's 2 pages of the checklist right there, but the bold items are requirements that you must check off to become a member. If you aren't at the time, give us a call and we can tell you how you can get there. We want to make sure you're doing some minimum standard, and these mandatory elements are actually super easy. So one of them is, if you don't have sensors for the lighting system in your facility, maybe you have a policy in place or you have signage making sure people are aware that if no one's in the building that they turn the lights off. Another good example is on the water side, you do a quarterly leak check. So everybody's already doing it. You walk through your facility and you see water leaking, you're going to address it and you're going to fix it. This is a formal way of just showing that you're actively doing this. This is the other portion of it, of the checklist. And then there's a blank box at the end, just so you can add any observations, questions. Maybe you want to know something that you're interested in that you would like to expand upon. Or if you see that, or if you feel that there's something that you're doing that's not necessarily on this checklist, but you think it's a benefit to sustainability, we can look at that and work with you. Some of the next steps for our program is, we're always trying to increase membership. We are always looking for feedback from our members and stakeholders that are associated with this program. So we partner not only with producers, but we like to partner with higher education organizations like MTSU, UT. We like to work with all these organizations to see how we can expand upon this and improve upon our program. So we're always looking for potential partnerships. We're always working on additional resources. I mentioned that before, that we're working on some resources for consumers and resources for homebrewers and hobbyists that are in the hobby of producing spirits. We have a partnership with the MTSU program. So this is every year we like to get an intern from the MTSU's fermentation science program, and we work with an intern to not only improve upon our program, but also get them experience on the side of fermentation and how industry works. One of the big programs that we're looking to expand upon is the value stream mapping program. I think I have a quick little graphic that I can show in the next slide or so. Yeah, the slide after this. This is just an example of one of our members. So this is Jackalope Brewing, located in Nashville, Tennessee. Some of the sustainable practices that they're incorporating at their program is, they have the spent grain from the beverage production of beer goes to farmers that can be used as feed for livestock. They have a lot of super awesome energy efficiency controls where they're using, PID temperature controllers to ensure that they're keeping their product at the temperature they like in an efficient way while utilizing insulation. A cool community program, this is something that I'd really like to expand upon, is they partnered with a local organization in their area to promote something called a pickup for a pint. So I know a lot of breweries do this, but pretty much what it is, they have a day where consumers can go out, pick up trash with them, and it's a little organized event, and whoever participated in that, they get a pint of beer for free at the end of the day. So it's a way of including the community not only within your organization, but also showing how the community can help and clean up their community. So picking up trash, you know, producing some of that pollution that can get into their waterways. So there's plenty of ways that we can include the community in our organizations. I know a lot of other organizations, you know, provide space, venue space, just free venue space for community organizations to meet and discuss whatever they have going on. So involving yourself with the community is not only good for your business, but it's also good for the community. It's letting the community know that they have places that they can meet or expand upon community issues and cleaning up their community. So back to value stream mapping. This is something that we're working on, and it's going to take some time because it's a very in-depth program. But what we're doing is we're trying to show where you're getting taxed in the production process. So this is a quick little example of producing beer. So you're going to get a delivery of grain. You have to get that grain from the truck to whatever storage. So whether it's a forklift or an electric motor with an auger, you're going to be running that system to get the grain from the truck to storage. So what we can do is we can look at that electric motor that's running the auger. We can time it, see how long it takes to unload the truck. We can get the information off the tag from the electric motor, and we can see exactly how much kilowatt hours is needed to move that grain. Going on to the next step, you know, we got to get that grain and we got to get it milled. So there's an electric motor moving the grain from storage to the mill. There's an electric motor running that mill. So there's a time associated with all these processes, and we know exactly what the electric motor is and how much electricity it takes to run that motor. And then we can go to something a little more intricate. We can go to mashing. So you get that grain that's been milled. You got to add it to hot water. You kind of have to steep it like a tea. So you have energy going in to heat up the water. You have water going in, and you have an electric motor moving that stuff around. So running a pump, more or less. So you have, you know, maybe natural gas heating up a furnace, a boiler, or you just have direct fire to the mash tun. You have the electric motor running. So you have electricity, you have gas use, and you have water consumption. So we can see exactly how long it takes to do that, and we can see the energy that's involved with that. Overall, what we're trying to do is identify where the largest taxes are coming from this whole process. So what is using the most energy, what's using the most water, and we can identify the areas that use the most energy, and we can figure out how we can reduce some of that energy consumption. It's a very detailed oriented program, but it's something that we're working with the MTSU Fermentation Science Program to help further expand the services we provide with this program, and it helps producers look at their overall overhead costs associated with energy and water use, and it also helps us reduce some of that water and energy use. So it works both ways. You know, you're being sustainable by reducing energy consumption, and you're also saving money by reducing energy consumption. So it works both ways. That is a quick overview of the Tennessee Sustainable Spirits Program. We may have a little bit of time for questions if we have any questions, Caleb.
None right now, but if you have any questions on the program, feel free to send those to the chat box, and at the end we'll go over any questions that you guys might have, and Mark can answer those for you guys.
Thank you.
All right. Well, thanks, Mark, for that overview. I get to help out with the program a little bit, and I've just really enjoyed watching it grow and become the program that it is now. So very exciting times. So our next speaker is Anthony Davis. Anthony served as a Metro Council member for Nashville's 7th District, elected in 2011 and re-elected in 2015. District 7 includes East Nashville, Inglewood, and portions of Madison. Councilman Davis was appointed to the Budget and Finance Committee each of his 8 years and was the chair of the Public Works Committee and served as the Rules Committee chairman. He currently is the president and co-founder of East Nashville Beer Works, a craft brewery and tap room based on Trinity Lane in East Nashville. East Nashville Beer Works opened to the public in August of 2016 and is growing and thriving with distribution in Middle Tennessee and through their family-friendly tap room with beer, food, and indoor-outdoor space. I've actually been to East Nashville Beer Works. Some of my buddies live right across the road, so we can walk over there, and it's a very enjoyable time that I've had the couple times that I've been there. So I will pass it over to you. Just let me know.
Thank you so much. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, sir.
Okay, just making sure. Great. Well, thanks for that wonderful introduction, and appreciate your presentation, Mark, and for having me. I was looking at your 4 tenets of the Sustainable Spirits Program. I was thinking we're pretty good at that stuff, but community is definitely, that's probably our best of the 4, so maybe that's why you had me on today. But really appreciate it, and thanks for the opportunity. Hello to everybody out there. I'll give you a quick rundown on East Nashville Beer Works. I know at some point there's going to be some photos scrolling through as well, so you can just kind of check out our vibe and everything. There they go. But a little bit about us. We opened in August of 2016. We are a small, I call us community-oriented brewery and tap room in East Nashville, of course. We're on Trinity Lane in sort of the northern part of East Nashville. Our goal from the beginning was to be a community-driven brewery. The naming itself was very purposeful. I really wanted to plant a flag and name the brewery after East Nashville. So we landed on East Nashville Beer Works, just simple. And, I wasn't sure because some people said, well, it's going to limit you. You name your brewery after a neighborhood or whatever. And I was like, well, what about Brooklyn Brewery? And, we're sort of the East, they like to call East Nashville the Brooklyn of Nashville. So anyway, I was like, I don't really care if it limits us. I want to name it after the neighborhood. And so it was just very purposeful, like I said, to plant a flag in the area. From the very beginning, our mantra or slogan has been beer is community. So even with everything we say, like community is very much everything to us. And that has been our mantra since the beginning. We brew about, like I said, we've been open since 2016, brew about 1,500 to 2,000 barrels a year of beer, which most people don't know what a barrel is. A half barrel is like a regular keg. So that's like 3,000 to 4,000 kegs. We've been around 1,500. We're trying to grow to maybe closer to 2,000. So we're not that big of a brewery, more, like I said, more of a neighborhood brewery. We sell in kegs. As you see, we sell in package. The one interesting thing about the pandemic, we've been able to do a lot more than just our core brands. You can see sort of the Miramiel, the Cumberland, some of those that look the same are kind of our core brands. And we've been doing more one-offs and fun package can beers this year. But we sell kegs up to the market as well. We sell this package that you can get in the store. Kegs go to the bars. And then we also move a lot of beer in the tap room over there on Trinity Lane. Community, obviously want to focus on that today. Community is a bit of a buzzword in the world in general, but in breweries for sure. The challenge is really in pulling it off. Everyone says they're community driven, but it's really about how do you pull it off. So what's our secret? What is our secret sauce? I'll give you that today. First, it's the foundation of great beer. If you don't have the great beer, no one's going to come to you anyway, and you're not going to generate any kind of community environment. So the most important thing from the get-go is being able to make great beer. So once you have that down, then you can kind of build from there. For us, we had always set out to be taproom driven. Mainly, and saying that, I mean to say like place-based. You've all heard sort of your third place. You've got home, you've got work, and then you've got either like your coffee shop or your brewery or your bar. We wanted to be that third place for anyone in particular, our target market. So being taproom driven. And how do we do that? That was, you can also just say, well, we're a taproom brewery, but like, how do you really pull that off? And you see from some of these images, we're very kid friendly, we're very dog friendly. But for us, several things. First I'd say was the food. A lot of breweries don't do food, and it can be a pain. It's a lot of work. We're not fully a restaurant, but we're sort of, we're not a bar, we're not a restaurant, we're kind of an in-between thing. So we had set out we were going to do food. We ended up with we do pizza, salads, and apps, house made. We don't just heat stuff up. Out of, in Nashville, 25 to 30 breweries, only about 6 or 7 do food. Like really do it, not just like snacks or heat something up, or food trucks. So it's, and in different cities that number is different, but that's kind of what it is here. So we do food. The family and pet friendly, which the previous slide was probably a little more of that, but most breweries are naturally somewhat family friendly and maybe somewhat pet friendly. We want them to sort of be next level. We get a lot of families visiting us, and a lot of that is the food. Like I said, we do a pizza menu, which is obviously super kid friendly. I got it all over the table there. But there's just something that we also have a lot of outdoor space. There's just certain things we do that make it very inviting. And then the pets, the dogs. We've got the big space, so we wanted to make sure, we have a room for the pets to roam around. So other things we do that, we've got a busy, bustling tap room. Other things we do to make it really community-driven, community-oriented. Groups, in any way possible, we foster groups and events to come in and visit us. I know you saw a yoga there on a previous slide. Early on, I took it upon myself, you're trying to make it as a brewery. Groups really helped us survive in the early days. It was how could you bring people in, get people into the tap room. We've done so many different kinds of groups and events, anything from political, and as you saw, I've got a political background, so happen to drive a lot of that myself, but nonprofits, politics, environmental groups, like yourselves, and then we do everything from birthdays, showers. We've done wedding showers, baby showers. We've done kids' birthday parties because we're so family friendly. Anniversaries, just you name it, we've done it. A lot of our groups are community oriented and civic minded, which is definitely a tie-in here. And again, some of that is from my background, and pushing that, but a lot of it just sort of organically became so. Maybe because of our space, because of the foundational great beer, the food, the space. Just layer all these things on top, and a lot of it's just kind of happened organically. Let's see. So, a good example of that. Well, first let me say events. We host a lot of our own events, but then we also host your events, the people's events. So it's a little bit of both sides. We do a lot of big parties, I guess you call them, or events. Our anniversary party every August. This first weekend in August is a really big one. Stuff, and just a lot of beer releases and things that are our events. We're planning those. We're doing our own Facebook. We're doing that kind of thing. And then we also host a lot of your events. We will partner with you, and we may be co-hosts on Facebook, for example. But people come to us and they want to do their events with us, and then we just sort of latch on and help them and bring them in and create the space and do the things that are going to make their event a success. So it's our events and it's your events. And so that makes it a ton of events and a ton of groups. And that's been very purposeful. And that's another way that we're driving community is doing that. We have ways that we do that. We have a huge, what we even call a community table in the tap room. It's just a big oversized table. But early on, we started booking that as kind of a staging ground where we put the food and, somewhere to set your drink, and you can have a networking event that mills around this table. And I mean, it sounds really simple and basic, right? But you have to be purposeful with it, and, you've got to want to drive this and bring these people in. So we sort of created the space and set the table, so to speak, for that. We haven't used that a lot this year because we had to move it and sort of empty our space in half, but we're looking forward to getting back to that and booking that table with purpose. Our covered patio, which you saw some images there. You know, we've got a really great space outside that people can be, that's been really great this year. Before, you know, as things are just up and down, you know, when we've been able to have 25 people, we can use the space. When it goes down to 8, well, it's just kind of a regular space for people. You're not really able to do groups, but it's still there. It still provides a nice, you know, covered but also outdoor air community hub that you can be safe and you can come hang out. So that's probably been the neatest space this year, and we tarp it in the winter too. So you've got a heated covered space with the heaters out there, the propane, and that's been a neat thing this year to keep some of the community vibe going, allow people to feel safe and be in a covered area with outdoor air, you know, coming in. That kind of thing. So we're actually wanted to mention we are expanding that area too this year. We're doing a expansion of the beer garden and sort of the neighboring lot next door, and it's going to be an amazing new space. It's going to drive even more potential and more community. It's going to have about another 10 tables, and then actually I'm putting a playground in. So going back to that. You know, kid-friendly, dog-friendly thing. We're going all in. I'm putting it's a small little apparatus. It's nothing crazy, but it's going to be a little playground apparatus. So also the goal is kind of keep the kids in one area that's mainly theirs, and then, you know, keeping different groups separate. So just a couple more things I'll mention and turn it over to questions or the next speaker. With the tap room, with the bustling factor. We do a lot of community collabs. We do brew. You've seen brew collabs with other breweries, you know, us and Jackalope or whoever. We did a collab, and that was a beer collab. We're actually doing a lot of community collabs too. I'll give you an example. Let's try to take it a step further. We did a collab with the East Nashville Running Club, and we did a beer that was a Kolsch that had a little bit of orange Gatorade in it and sea salt. And it was just a really cool beer. We called it the East Nashville beer, East Nashville Aid, I should say. That's what we call it, like Gatorade. And that was a huge success. We did a beer in the fall around the same time that we called the Battle Brew, and it benefited Fanny Battle. And so we brewed just a light beer and got them involved in the label and did a community collab. They're not a brewery. It was a community collab. Black is Beautiful. We did a batch of that. We've done other things, and even this spring we've got a fun or early summer beer. We're going to do. I guess it's going to be a hemp collab, whatever we're legally allowed to do with Lab Canna. So that's going to be super exciting, and we're both really jacked about that partnership and doing a beer with Lab Canna. We do food collabs too. We actually did a pizza with Slow Burn hot chicken this month as a specialty, and it's been just wildly popular and just really cool to you promote each other. You're both doing a lot of social media and that sort of thing, and people really like to see that community tie-in. So we're doing that with them. We're going to do a Shotgun Willie's. They're an Englewood barbecue outfit. Really small businesses that you can help promote them and do these community collabs. And so we're doing it on the food front too. And then one more thing I'll mention is partnerships. We always try and partner with other community members. For an example, we use Diskin for our cider. We love having cider and wine and other options on hand at the tap room. Just if you're not a big beer drinker, a beer drinker brings in a partner who's not a beer drinker. We've got a lot of other stuff, and partnering with Diskin has been awesome. To use a local cidery, and they have us on tap in their tap room. And then we use Honey Tree for mead. We have mead on hand. We use a local farmer, a guy named his name's David, but Henosis, for lion's mane mushrooms. Some of you may know him. He's a real big local farmer. We also use, shouldn't fail to mention them, Johnson's Honey Farm. You wouldn't believe the amount of honey I get from Johnson's Honey Farm for that flagship, that Honey Blonde there, Mira Miel. That's our flagship beer. We're dumping just pounds and pounds of honey in that beer. And so, we're supporting Johnson's by the gallon, let me tell you. So we love these local partnerships, though, and we're always looking for more of those. And that's just a really neat. We feel great about it. It ties us into the community in yet another way. and the community really loves that we do those partnerships. So we really love doing that. So kind of my bottom line, and I'll turn it back over. We look for any way to connect to the community, just any way possible. It's good for business, and I wouldn't do it any other way. We didn't start a super fun brewing business to like be to ourselves and be doing our own thing and isolated. We do this to be engaged and to our customers, to our partners, to our vendors, to the community at large, any way humanly possible. That's what we strive to do. So we're always looking for more fun things we could do, and yeah, look forward to talking more about it and taking your questions later, and come see us at the tap room over on Trinity Lane.
Thanks, Anthony. Yeah, one of my buddies was actually just telling me that he was snowed in, and so he couldn't get his car out of his driveway, but he could walk over to y'all's. But he always gets his the big growler filled at y'all's tap room, and so he's been trying to get me to come up there and go with him. So I'll come see you whenever I get back up to Nashville.
Absolutely. We had a lot of people walking in from the snow days. It was a blast. I mean, you know, just people were tired of not having any food or whatever cooking, so they came over in droves.
Well, awesome, thank you. And I think we got a question, but I'll pull those questions at the end and ask those. So next, I want to introduce our next tag team speakers. We're going to be talking about sustainability and partnership with the Tennessee State Parks Conservancy and Tennessee Brew Works. So we have Kelly Tipler and Thomas Gingrich. And I'm going to introduce both of them together. They're going to sort of tag team and talk about the cool collaboration that they've got going on. So Thomas is the Director of Sales and Marketing with Tennessee Brew Works in Nashville, where he coordinates with distributing and retail partners in the sale of Tennessee Brew Works beer. Previously, Thomas has worked in both the hospitality and music industries for many years in various parts of the country, including Nashville. Currently, Thomas is responsible for identifying and forecasting sales and production trends while growing the brand in their existing markets. He is also in charge of developing and executing marketing plans for both traditional and social media. He's an avid home chef and collector of electronic music synthesizers. So, Thomas, glad we can introduce you. Glad you could be here. And then now I'm going to introduce Kelly, and then we will get to your slides. So Kelly Tipler has worked in administration and consulting for nonprofit organizations for over 20 years. She was a co-founder of the Tennessee Respite Coalition, Pet Community Center, and Turn Green Creative Reuse. She has a passion for nonprofit service, largely focused on community organizing. She previously was a director of beautification for Metro Nashville and currently is working with the Tennessee State Parks Conservancy. So super excited to have both of you here, and I will pass it over to you to start your presentation.
All right. Can everyone hear me?
Yes, sir. Loud and clear.
All right. Awesome. Thank you very much to everyone over at Tdek. This is Thomas. Also, thank you to Kelly, Mark, Caleb, and Anthony as well for letting us be a part of this. We're really excited to always share the conversation and you know, help find those ways to really grow and increase not just ideas behind sustainability, but you know what Anthony was talking about with community. I know firsthand how wonderful East Nashville Beer Works is as an establishment. It is my neighborhood brewery, so I definitely appreciate it, and I've enjoyed many a pint and many a great bite of food over there. So thank you, Anthony. We definitely appreciate you being in the neighborhood for sure. One of the things with Tennessee Brew Works that you know, for those of you who don't know, we've crossed over the 7-year mark back in August. With a slow increase in sales year over year, right around, we're producing right around just shy of 6,000 barrels per year, and that is distributed throughout the state of Tennessee, with a main focus being here in Nashville itself, where we do have our brewery and a tap room as well. You know, a lot of the ideas behind Tennessee Brew Works, you know, we were founded on the mission of high quality craft beer that pays homage to the land, the traditions, and the culture of Tennessee. It's really what we do. It's the kind of the cornerstone of why we call ourselves Tennessee Brew Works. Just like Anthony was saying, wanting to highlight the neighborhood. You know, we're proud of being from Tennessee. We're proud of being a part of Tennessee, and we love showcasing the wonderful things that happen here within the state. It is truly a very special place in this country. There's a vast amount of diversity in not just community, but geographically, and also, you know, a lot of the things you're able to do with you know, the climate and the growing conditions and things like that. And we love the idea of showcasing that. One of the key things that we do is partnering with local farmers around the area. We do 100% of the adjuncts that we add into our beer, any sort of additives or additional flavoring components, they're 100% natural ingredients, which is a very important thing for us. And if we can source those from Tennessee, we absolutely do. And that includes, you know, our friends at Bloomsbury Farms in Smyrna for basil, for our basil Ryman. We also partner with our friends over at Strange Honey Farms in Del Rio, Tennessee for our Wildwood Flower, which is our Belgian Honey Blonde Ale. And Delvin Farms down in College Grove, Tennessee, utilizing the beets that Hank Delvin farms, and then also sweet potatoes that he utilizes as well. So, you know, finding a lot of those little avenues that kind of help us, you know, have that support, and then utilizing the wonderful ingredients that are just right here in our own backyard is a fantastic thing to do. And then also, you know, just like with what Anthony was saying, partnering with Southlands Cattle Company over in Adams, Tennessee, to utilize our spent grains. We'd much rather, you know, have them go to a farmer than pay refuse to pull them away. It'll make great business sense to work in that fashion. So always keeping an eye on those kinds of practices are very important to us. We can go ahead and move to the next slide here. One of the most important things to us is waste minimization and trying to use as much or be as efficient as we possibly can. When the brew house was designed, we were able to acquire a very unique piece of equipment that serves as our lautering system, and this is a Mira mash filter. So what this is a Belgian filter. It is actually the very first one of its size in North America. We're very, very proud about that. Serial number 001 is always something we like to showcase to people. And basically what this allows us to do, this allows us to take and be very, very well versed in a very important step in the brew process. You know, grains will come in, the milling process will happen, the mashing process will happen, but then we want to be able to utilize those grains as efficiently as we can. So having this Mira mash filter has been very, very important for us. First of all, it allows us to utilize a milling system that is it's a hammer mill as opposed to a roller mill system. So our hammer mill is going to take the grains that we're bringing in and do a much finer mill to it. So we're getting grist that is more akin to like flour in its consistency. And so we're exposing more of each kernel of grain to the water in the mashing process through this milling system. But we couldn't do that if we didn't have this mash filter on the back end of that. And basically what it does, hindsight is 2020 on this. I really should have had a slide with a nice photo of this, and I had great plans of having my presentation from in front of the mash filter, but unfortunately with production going the way that it is, I don't think any of you would have been able to hear me, and thus making this a null and void situation. But basically what this mash filter, if you can picture, probably about 25 to 30 different plates all lined up in what looks like an accordion. And then there's space underneath there for us to put refuse bins underneath. And what will happen is we'll encapsulate this this mash filter, and each one of these plates has an air bladder and then a Kevlar mesh around the outside. And we'll pump the mash into the mash filter, and these air bladders will expand. And as those expand, that forces the liquid back off of the mash filter, and we're able to capture 99% of the liquid off of the mash. So 99% of the wort comes off of this mash filter, and then leaves the spent grains behind. So it's a very, very efficient. And then also, as a lot of you probably know, brewing is a very resource-intensive process, and so even things like the cleaning process needs to be evaluated. And with just ease of cleaning, with having these plates in place, we're able to utilize less water within that factor. This mash filter also allows us the opportunity to kind of ebb and flow within grain builds. We're able to even break away from traditional all barley brews. One of our beers is a 100% wheat ale, kind of a very unique thing. We're very proud of it, and we wouldn't be able to do that without having this mash filter in place. So it's been a very great piece of equipment that was really with us from the beginning, and it was a little bit more costly than ever up front, but has definitely paid dividends down the road, not just with from a financial standpoint, but also from a waste minimization standpoint. We're very happy about that. The other piece of equipment that we have in place here, which helps us capture more and be more efficient within this, is a centrifuge. So after the fermentation process has happened and we're pulling from the fermentation tank, we run it through our centrifuge process, which is basically it's a lot smaller than what people think when they go to see it, and it basically will take the beer, spin it at roughly 8,000 RPMs, thus stripping away any excess proteins, any excess hot particles that are unwanted in the beer. It gives it a nice crisp finish, nice appearance, nice mouthfeel. But the other nice thing is it allows us to utilize an additional 5 to 10% off of each fermentation tank. So that is, in a normal situation, that is beer that we would not have been able to capture and would just be sent down the drain. But we're able to capture that through these processes. So we're very excited about that process as well. Let's go on to the next slide here. All right. One of the other great things that we like to do, and this goes back to what I was talking about earlier with working with local farmers, really utilizing the things that we know can happen here in Tennessee and we know can achieve some great things. Tennessee is a great microclimate for growing barley, and we've been working with Beatty Farms down in Murfreesboro to help grow the idea that barley is still a viable cash crop here in Tennessee. And it's been one of those things where somebody has to go first. You have to have a producer who is going to demand the product, before a farmer's going to want to plant it in the ground. But in order to do that, you have to have the product available so we can, see what's going on, make sure it is something that we've wanted to use. So it's been a great relationship with Beatty Farms out there to utilize Tennessee-grown barley. It has been a great thing, and it's something that we're looking to grow and expand on over the next several years and down the road, and through that, hoping and educating farmers and breweries and distillers about the advantages of having these raw materials right here in your backyard, and having your neighbor supplying you with the items that you need, and thus in turn selling to your neighbor, you know, through the sale of beer. So as I often put it to a lot of people, I've got, you know, the person who lives on the right-hand side of me, I'm buying from them, and then I'm selling to the person on the left-hand side of me, and all of that support really comes into play, which is fantastic stuff. And it really has, we noticed a very wonderful difference when we were able to utilize these Tennessee source grains. There was a little additional polish to the beer. It just had a little bit more, I just felt like I don't know if this was pride coming through in the glass or what, but it was, it just had that extra polish to it, and it was wonderful, and we're really excited to keep that process going and continue to work with them. One of the most important things for us too is that, you know, we wanted to make it a big impact as well, and so we made the commitment early on to utilize these Tennessee source grains, not just in, you know, a small batch production or, you know, something that we would do occasionally. We went all in and started utilizing it in 2 of our 4 core beers that we brew all year long. One of them being our Southern Wit, which is our Belgian white ale. The other one is our State Park Blonde Ale, and both of those have been fantastic beers. And overall, those have accounted for a little over 35% of our overall output as far as beer is concerned. So it's not, you know, a sack of grain here, sack of grain there. It is, you know, we're talking tonnage, which is something that we're very, very excited about and really happy to be a part of. Let's go on to the next slide here. Again, just, you know, talking about kind of some of the stuff that I'd already covered now that I'm looking that over. So let's go ahead to the next slide here for you. And this is the other thing that I'm really excited about with our State Park Blonde, and kind of the idea of working with community. As a small business, my job at its core is to ask the community to support us through the purchase of our products. And one of the things that I've always been a firm believer of, and that we here at Tennessee Brew Works have always been a firm believer of, is that we need to give back. We need to have that support out in the community in any way that we possibly can. And one of the great things that we love to do, and really ties in with our mission here, is through the State Park Blonde, supporting the Tennessee State Parks Conservancy with a donation with every case that is sold. And this is a program that we've been doing for 3 years now, and will continue to do in perpetuity, and we're really, really excited about it. And not just the educational experiences for our own internal team, but the opportunity to tell that story and share that story with everyone that we come in contact with throughout the state of Tennessee. And, you know, from a hand sale at a packaged liquor store down the street, all the way up to, you know, some of the big honky tonks downtown. Every one of those bottles symbolizes our support for the Tennessee State Parks, and how much we really appreciate the land and the culture that is here, and how we want to support it and give back. So it's been a great thing for us, and we're really excited to be working with that. And Kelly Tipler has been a wonderful resource, and I'm going to let her talk a little bit more about their end of the State Park Blonde initiative that we're working with.
Thank you, Thomas.
Absolutely.
I love hearing about all of it, and I'm so lucky because I love both of these breweries that are on today. I've had plenty of beer from each one of them. I came to the Tennessee State Parks Conservancy last year, and I was so excited to learn about the partnership with Tennessee Brew Works, because Tennessee Brew Works is my neighborhood brewery. I can walk there. So I was already hanging out there, and when I learned that I got to work more closely with them on this project, it was like a dream come true. So I'm tickled to be here and talk about it. And it has evolved over this last year from the partnership that we've talked about here with the State Parks Blonde Ale and to a lot of other initiatives. And so Caleb, if you could go to the next slide. We have got the State Parks Blonde Ale not only in places where all of us go to buy our weekly case of beer, right? We also have it in our state parks at the restaurants that serve alcohol and food. So that's been a great opportunity for people to kind of, you know, go for a good hike and grab a bite to eat and feel really good about seeing their state naturalist, Randy Hedgepath, on the label of their beer. That's pretty cool. So Caleb, you can go to the next slide. And I wanted to talk a little bit about the partnership and how it's grown. So Thomas was right. We do get a fair bit of support just from the sale of the State Parks Blonde Ale. And for those of you that are thinking either with nonprofits or maybe on a nonprofit board and are thinking about partnerships with distilleries and breweries and wineries and that sort of thing, you know, it's been from what my experience has been just over this past year, it's been incredible because we've been able to actually budget for this. This isn't like a line item that's kind of lumped in with other contributions. It's a significant source of income for us. And of course, our goal is just to get that income right back out into the state parks. So it's been great. I definitely feel like we're on the winning end of this partnership. But I was glad to hear Thomas talk about it. You know, we're good for them too. So the Drink Beer and Give Back is that basic partnership that we have. Something else to know, every quarter Tennessee Brew Works has a charity partner, and during that time they give $1 from every pint poured on Sundays back to a nonprofit. So every Sunday you go there and you order a beer, you're giving back to this community. They've done it with a lot of other organizations, especially during this crazy pandemic, organizations that really suffered and needed the support. So that's been really nice to not only for us, because we were the beneficiary of those Sunday purchases, but for other organizations too. We actually had, even during COVID times, we sat down with them because it was right at the beginning, and it's when even the state parks were closed, which was unusual because that's where a lot of people actually got to hang out through the pandemic as outdoor spaces. But even the state parks were closed, and we got together with Tennessee Brew Works, and they are the ones that actually came to us and said, we got to figure something out. Philanthropy is at our core, and our team wants to still do something. So as things opened back up, we were able to do a Summer Sunday series, and essentially they said, you know, we don't have, a lot of our artists aren't playing right now, and we said, what if we found some artists that were crazy about state parks? And they said, bring them in, we'll live stream them, we can do Venmo donations. They just really went above and beyond to help support us during a time when, you know, things just weren't easy. So they've been creative and supportive, and it's been great. You know, during non-COVID times, you know, we are looking forward to just a whole bunch of all of you coming in on Sundays, April, May, and June this year, because we're going to be the recipient from every pint, $1 from every pint. So come on in for that. Other things to know about, you know, they do collaborations. They've not only done the Tennessee State Parks Blonde Ale, but they've also done Persistence Peach, which was, you know, another collaboration through us and through Tdek to celebrate the women's suffrage anniversary. So that was something else we did this year, and they're always open to that, kind of exploring other ideas for other beers. And something else they did, and I have it on, I don't know if you can see it. See, like, they have a t-shirt for us. We had a t-shirt last year during the Relief Marketplace with Friendly Arctic. That was wonderful. But after that, that campaign ended, we were still looking to do something else, and Tennessee Brew Works said, yeah, let's do it. Let's figure out a way that we can sell t-shirts and you can get a cut from every t-shirt. So on the front, we have some artwork that they helped us create, and on the back, we have a Tennessee Brew Works logo. And they take care of the sales in their gift shop, and we get a portion of those proceeds that come right back to us. They have a lot of networks that we don't have through their distributors, and so we have been able to also produce posters that look like the Tennessee State Parks Blonde Ale with our state naturalist on the label, and those posters Tennessee Brew Works has been able to print for us basically free, and allowed us to have Randy Hedgepath sign them, and we've been able to use them in our silent auctions and our fundraisers. One of the things that we did this past year was a party for the parks, which was, of course, virtual, like everything else right now, like this right here. And with that, we had VIP packages. The great thing about working with Brew Works is they had distributors all over. So we were able to not only get people interested in buy a VIP ticket, but we were able to allow them to have a poster that was signed and have some beer, and really they just supported our packages, and they said, whatever you need. So it was just a true gift. We also, the Tennessee State Parks Conservancy, just launched a membership program, and one of our membership benefits at the corporate level is having a tasting at Tennessee Brew Works. And so again, just another way that we found a connecting point with them. We also are looking at other opportunities with them. Another event that we're looking at in June that's statewide that they're going to support, and they're using their network, which we don't have. Even though we're statewide, they have a larger network in the hospitality industry because, again, of their distribution. And so we're going to be able to partner with their partners and network to help host another sort of pseudo in-person virtual event. And that'll be great. And one of the things that kind of sparked that idea is a collaboration that they did in Chattanooga with a brewery down there. And they created the beer, they sold the beer, and they also added it to the list of ways that we could benefit financially. So even with the pandemic, we were able to raise, about $1,000 off of those sales. So we have been just so fortunate, and we really do, while we also gain, we gain so much financially from them, is we really do look at it as a partnership, because they do embody the core values that we have about accessibility, especially taking care of the environment, and especially our state parks, being good stewards of the state parks. And so we have no trouble promoting them in all that we do. And so it's been a good connection and collaboration for both of us, I think. And I think with that, I'll take any questions, or Mark and Caleb, if you guys have any that's come through the chat for any of us, we'd be happy to answer.
Yeah, so I actually have quite a few questions for all of you. I just getting to do these, host these webinars, I get to learn so much from all of you guys, and I myself have bought quite a few of the Tennessee Brew Works State Parks Blonde Ale. A lot of the events that we have at any of the state parks, they'll of course buy those, and I didn't know about the signed poster, but I'm gonna have to get me one of those. So I might email you and see how I can get one of those, because I'd love to have one of those hanging up in my man cave. But what I'll do is I don't have any questions right now, but if any come to me, I will ask those to you guys, and then in the follow-up email, I'll get your answers and send that to the follow-up email for all of our attendees. So I just want to say thank you so much to all of our speakers. Kelly, thank you so much for all that you do. The collaboration with Tennessee Brew Works is just so impressive and something that gets talked about quite a bit at Tdek and around the state. So I appreciate both of you guys and all that you do. And I'd like to go ahead and thank all of our audience for registering, taking your time to be a part of it. We plan to have another Tennessee Sustainable Spirits webinar this year, so stay tuned and be on the lookout for registration links and the webinar invitations. This webinar is recorded, will be put on YouTube, and the slides, the link to the video, and all of that will be available on our website, but then will also be sent out in a follow-up email. If you have any questions at all, please contact me at Caleb, C-A-L-E-B, .Powell, P-O-W-E-L-L, at tn.gov. And like I said, a follow-up email will be sent out to all of you with all of this information on it and the recording link. So everyone have a great rest of your week, and thanks again to all of our wonderful speakers.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.